Alright, here's a short video on just linear functions. Most of this, or all of this actually, should be review from Algebra 1. So first of all, we are going to go over the different forms of linear functions, then how to graph a linear function, and finally, how to graph a linear equality. The forms of linear functions are actually pretty diverse, but you can always get from one form to another. So first we have standard form. Standard form has a couple of rules. Number one, whatever number you are using for A has to be a positive whole number. For B, it just has to be a whole number. And for C, also has to be a whole number. For slope-intercept form, this is probably the one you are most familiar with, y equals mx plus b. I'll leave that one for later because we're going to use that to graph. For point-slope form, this is a modified version of the slope-intercept form. And this is used, point-slope is used when you have one point and you know the slope. So you don't know what the y-intercept is, but you know at least one point on the graph and you know the slope. And you use point-slope form in order to get slope-intercept form. And of course, if you have a horizontal line, that's going to be y equals just some number. And for a vertical line, same thing, but just with x instead. So for example, x equals 2 would be a vertical line. Alright, so let's graph something with the slope-intercept form. You have a slope of negative 2/3 and a y-intercept of 4. So you can see I've started graphing at y equals 4. And then I've followed the slope down 2 and over 3. Now I went down 2 because it's negative slope. Once I finish going all the way to the right, I go back to my y-intercept and start going to the left, following the same pattern but in reverse. And you can see the blue points are my actual coordinates on the line, and the yellow stairs are where I'm following the slope that's given in the equation. Following this method is actually really quick, and if you have a ruler, it's even faster. Now let's say that we started with a standard form of 2x plus 2y equals 12. And you can see here I'm solving how to get from the standard form to the slope-intercept form. And all I'm doing is solving for y. Now this method should look familiar because we've just finished using a similar method for finding the inverse equation of any function. One thing I do want to point out, because in the past people have had a problem with this, when you are dividing an entire side by a fraction or by a number and it creates a fraction, you have to remember that in order to actually divide that number into that side, you first have to split it. You have to split all the pluses and minuses, but you have to keep the same number on the bottom each time you split it. And that's what allows you to reduce it to the final form. Now for an inequality, you're going to follow the same steps as you did for graphing the slope-intercept form. And you can see that's what I'm doing here. Slope is 2, so up 2 over 1. Now I'm using a dotted line, and I'm going to shade. Now this dotted line means that the y does not actually have an equals. It's actually going to be an inequality. So the line itself does not contain reasonable answers. The shaded part on the graph represents all of the possible coordinates that could solve this inequality. Now why did I shade down? Because it's less than. Less than needs to go down. Alright, that's it. Hopefully this reminds you of a few things you may have forgotten since freshman year. If you have seen something in this that you don't fully remember, you might go to Khan Academy and see if there's any more videos on there. Or you can always go back and look at your notes over this video. And if you didn't take notes, go back and watch the video again. See you later.